They say if you listen closely on a quiet night in the mountains of northern Greece, you might hear it, the whisper of a king long forgotten, calling from beneath the ruins of a kingdom that once believed its crown held the power of the gods. Whether that whisper is wind or memory hardly matters, because for thousands of years, the Greeks carried a fascination for the idea that a simple object placed upon a ruler's head could channel supernatural forces. And today, we explore a question that has puzzled generations. Were these ancient crowns truly vessels of divine power or legends wrapped in centuries of myth? To understand the strange pull these crowns still have, we journey back to a Greece before marble temples or philosophers, back to a world where survival depended on pleasing forces beyond human control. In this era, objects weren't merely crafted. They were infused with meaning, purpose, and fear. Among all symbols, the crown stood apart. It was not simply an ornament. It was a declaration, a contract, a mark of destiny. And for early Greeks, the crown could be a bridge between the mortal and the divine. One of the earliest Greek crowns was in gold, a wreath of wild olive branches, the kotinos. Ancient tradition claims Heracles himself created it after completing one of his trials. But its power didn't come from the leaves. It came for what it represented: divine favor, protection, and honor. Athletes who wore believed they carried a spark of the god's blessing. To us, it may sound symbolic, but to ancient Greeks, symbolism was reality. As Greek civilization evolved, crowns grew more elaborate. The Mycenaeans crafted golden diadems decorated with spirals and animal symbols believed to channel eternity and strength. One such crown found in a Mycenaean grave sparked controversy when some claimed it belonged to Agamemnon, the legendary king of Troy. Whether true or not, strange misfortunes followed the excavation. Locals whispered that disturbing a warrior king's crown invited the wrath of the gods. When the archaeologists involved in the discovery later experienced accidents and sudden illness, many dismissed it as coincidence. But for villagers raised on myths of cursed relics, the explanation seemed obvious. Ancient crowns might carry stories, but they might also carry consequences. The Greeks also believed that crowns could enhance the mind. The laurel wreath of Apollo was thought to sharpen intellect and open prophetic insight. In myth, Daphne transforms into a laurel tree, and Apollo declares her leaves sacred. Those who wore laurel crowns, poets, oracles, and victors, believed they were tapping into Apollo's wisdom. Whether spiritual or psychological, the effect was real enough to shape history. Even more mysterious were the ritual crowns worn by priests in secret ceremonies, like the Eleusinian Mysteries. These crowns, often made of myrtle, marked participants as spiritually reborn. Some scholars believe the rituals induced altered states of consciousness. Without written records, these ceremonies remained shrouded in darkness, leaving us to wonder what power the ancient participants believed their crowns granted them. And then there is Alexander the Great. Ancient texts describe him wearing a diadem that symbolically tied him to Zeus Ammon. After visiting the oracle of Siwa, where priests hailed him as divine, the crown became a symbol of unstoppable destiny. His soldiers believed it. His enemies feared it, whether enchanted or not. The crown became part of the myth surrounding a man who conquered continents. In battle, belief can be as powerful as any weapon. A crown, no matter the material, could change the minds of thousands. When people believed their leader was chosen by the gods, confidence became unbreakable. That psychological force made the crown one of the most potent symbols in ancient warfare. Crowning the dead was another ancient Greek practice. Gold wreaths, too delicate for everyday wear, were placed on the heads of the departed to protect them in the afterlife. One Macedonian tomb contained a crown so delicate it looked like sunlight frozen into metal. Locals say disturbing such a crown awakens the spirit buried beneath it. Science says otherwise, but belief, once again, holds its own kind of truth. One excavation assistant once claimed he heard a humming sound as he reached for a funerary crown. The team laughed until they heard the soft resonance themselves, a natural echo from the tomb structure, harmless in explanation, yet haunting in the moment. For those inside the tomb, the line between physics and the supernatural felt impossibly thin. Some crowns remain so well-preserved that researchers debate how they survived. One theory suggests they were made solely for ritual use, untouched by weather or war. Their pristine condition adds fuel to belief that these crowns were not meant for mortal purposes alone. Then we have the legendary crown of Helios, the sun god. Ancient writers describe it as glowing with impossible brilliance. Priests wearing replicas during ceremonies seem to radiate light in the torchlit temples. Today we attribute the effect to reflection, but in a world ruled by fire and shadow, such illusions could feel like divine manifestations. Not all crowns belong to kings or gods. In Crete, families made simple herb crowns for children afraid of nightmares. The scents of mint or thyme calmed them, acting as early forms of aromatherapy. These modest crowns held a different kind of magic, one rooted in comfort rather than power, yet powerful all the same. As Greek culture spread, so did its mythic symbols. The Romans absorbed Greek crown traditions and created new legends. Some Roman writers insisted Greek priest-kings once used crowns to interpret destiny itself. The stories became exaggerated, but their existence proves how deeply symbolic power resonated far beyond Greece's borders. Scientifically, there is no evidence that these crowns possessed actual supernatural power. No energy fields, no divine glow, no mystical abilities. Yet the influence they held over minds, societies, armies, and entire civilizations was undeniably real. In ancient Greece, belief was a force as tangible as stone. Greek theater reinforced this power. In tragedies performed in massive open-air theaters, a crown on a character's head instantly signaled authority, fate, or doom. The audience understood the symbolism instinctively. Even fictional crowns shaped emotional responses. Modern visitors feel the same aura when standing before golden wreaths in Greek museums. Their delicate leaves, preserved for thousands of years, seem almost unreal. People stare, imagining the hands that made them, the heads that wore them, the legends they inspired. The crowns remain silent, yet they speak louder than words. In some villages today, locals warn visitors not to photograph certain ancient crowns, claiming they hold old energy. Guides call it superstition, but people still hesitate. Some feel strange sensations, goosebumps, heaviness, or a sudden chill, while near these artifacts. Science explains it as suggestion, but the experience feels genuine enough to keep the myth alive. Part of Greece's identity lies in this blend of history and myth. Scholars study artifacts with precision, but locals keep their stories breathing. They speak of kings blessed by gods, priests who glowed like fire, and crowns that shaped the fate of entire cities. These tales, though unprovable, contain emotional truths that endure. A modern Greek man once shared how his grandmother kept an old wedding crown in their attic, believing it protected the family. To her, the crown symbolized unity and strength. Whenever hardship struck, she would place it on her head and pray. Years later, he found himself doing the same, not because he believed in magic, but because he believed in her. This echoes the ancient Greek understanding that symbols guide action. A crown does not need supernatural power to influence a life. Sometimes all it needs is meaning. And meaning, once rooted in the human mind, can be more powerful than any enchantment. So were ancient Greek crowns truly magical? Literally, no. They did not control lightning or summon gods. But symbolically, psychologically, and culturally, they held immense power. They legitimized rulers, inspired warriors, and guided the dead. Their influence shaped nations and myths alike. Perhaps the real magic was never in the gold or the leaves, but in the stories people wove around them. The ancient Greeks used crowns to express hope, faith, authority, and destiny. Those meanings remain as potent today as they were millennia ago. In the end, the answer lies between myth and truth. Ancient crowns with strange powers were real in form, legendary in reputation, and transformative in meaning. They shaped imaginations then, and they still do now. Their greatest power was, and will always be, the ability to capture the human soul.